He says, "Make it stop!" And he says, "I can't do that. I'm only a clock." He seems to time his concept of human perception. And sort of, that's where we're going with this. You see, hello, listener. We didn't see you there because it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
Welcome to Big Damn Cast, sponsored by Roy.
Thanks, Roy.
Yeah, good guy, Roy. Good guy. Good products. Won't turn your teeth great. So
Roy G. Biv.
Roy G. Wikiwah. I am Chris, complete with herring and vegetables, Johnson.
I am Matt, third-party upgrade kit installed, Watson.
You have as well, that's the best
have.
part. And you're here for another week of Whiffles, Waffles and Filth!
Whiffles, waffles and wilf.
Where we talk about stuff that doesn't really matter, because we're all going to die one day, so let's focus on the trivial. But in the meantime, talk about this expansion kit. What I'm seeing in front of me, dear listener.
Yes, anyone who follows my Instagram will have seen this.
Yeah, but I didn't realise you posted pictures of your genitalia.
Oh, sorry.
But on the table is an Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I delved
Yeah.
into the dark world of third-party upgrade kits for Transformers. Everyone take a shot. It's going to be record time to Transformers. It was 1:53.
That's probably the soonest. Yeah.
Because I finally got myself a figure I've been after for ages, the 2015 Combiner Wars Voyager class Optimus Prime, because he combines with other robots and he's Optimus Prime. What more do you want?
What more do you want, damn it?
And then I saw that there's an upgrade kit, which is basically you take the figure apart and put bits on it, or what, to varying or lesser degrees. I've seen some upgrade kits which are literally like just a couple of shoulder pads and a different head.
Oh, that's not an upgrade. That's just an 80s business rework.
I know, right? But this is a fairly involved upgrade kit, which entails disassembling his entire lower half, including doing some really scary shit like hammering pins out of his torso joints. It's not. I wouldn't recommend spending your Saturday night hammering away at one of your toys, but that's what I did, and I got it installed, and it's gorgeous. It turns what is a pleasing, chunky but slightly misproportioned and pretty good at best figure into a masterpiece.
It is beautiful.
Not an actual masterpiece Transformer. It's not that. It's not that comprehensive.
But all the same, like one beef I've had with Transformers, the older I've got, is posability, because I like my action figures on my shelf looking all cool and stuff, and a lot of the older ones, you can't really pose them. Like they're more for play.
For that. Yeah.
Yeah, the new ones are definitely better for that. Like I've still not opened him. I'm saving him for a day when I'm really miserable. But I've got my Starscream.
Nice. Yeah.
Which sounds really weird. For those who don't know, like I love toys, and if I feel really miserable, something that can cheer me up, just opening a toy.
Just open a new toy.
So Starscream has been in his box for like a year and a bit now,
Yeah.
and I'm just waiting for an excuse to open him. I'm not really. I'd rather not be miserable. But he looks nice. He looks nice in the window.
Yes.
Window thingy boxing. Anyway,
just in his plastic.
But I would like to play with him. But you know, so the only Transformers I've really got at the moment is I've got the three movie ones that are released as part of the as part of the line at Universal Studios for the ride. There's like a mini line of figures, and it's Bumblebee, Optimus, and Evac, the movie version of which debuts in Transformers the Ride at the Universal Parks.
Transformers the Ride. I think he's unique to that. I don't think there's another Evac.
I'm sure they'll sneak him in somewhere, I imagine, in something. But
so
I bought them, and they're relatively posable. They look quite cool.
Yeah.
Considering they're the movie versions. But this Optimus is sexy.
I mean,
like,
a lot of that
he
posability
is striking a pose.
None of that posability really comes from the upgrade kit. Like, the arms are the same. They've just got stuff clipped on. And he's got his hip swivel. His hip rotation, that's new. That's the same. Sorry.
Matt's pointing at a robot's groin for those
Yes, I'm touching.
watching at home.
I'm touching his primo vitalis.
Oh, he bloody is. He's stroking it up
legs,
and down.
The legs are pretty much the same, but they're longer. And,
which is nice because it adds to his overall imposing size.
Well, that's the thing. It just makes him better proportioned, and also makes him. He's basically the next size class up. He's gone from being a Voyager class figure to a Leader class figure, essentially. The main thing it adds in terms which helps his posability is it's got ankle tilts.
So he can not just sort of be crouched slightly or stood straight. He can have his legs spread.
Which is important for this figure because both every figure that uses this mold, so it's the Optimus Prime and the Motor Master from Combiner Wars.
People taking shots for the Transformers stuff are so drunk right now.
The Motor Master mold. They have a real problem with the hip ratchets.
Yeah,
the in and out hip. The front and back ones are fine. They're a little loose even with the springs. But the side to side hip ratchets are. The notches are really far apart.
Ah, okay.
So
they're either still completely straight or doing the splits.
Yeah, basically. And because his legs are longer and he's got the ankle tilts, that kind of mitigates a lot of that. And that's the main thing that helps him in terms of posability. But apart from that, like a lot of his, it's not really added any posability. That's the great thing about the Generations figures is they're all fairly posable. The only thing I've noticed on a couple of them, depending on the transformations, don't have hip rotations. Like waist rotations, sorry.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. But other than that, they're all fairly
He's pretty hot. And like you said, he's based on the 2012 IDW design?
He's based on Don Figueroa's design. Was it 2012? No, I think it was 2010. Yeah, it was 2010. The Don Figueroa redesign for the 2010 IDW Transformers ongoing, which then went on to inform Optimus's look going forward.
So he cuts a nice like animated look then. He doesn't look sort of cut and paste. This is Optimus Prime, guys. It's like no, this is Optimus Prime. He's got character to him. I like it.
The split window chest and the truck spoiler and the massive antenna on his head.
Thank God.
I'll find a quick picture of the design for him.
Plus a giant fecking axe.
Oh yeah, also a giant axe
and sword and dagger variants.
Yeah, you can,
which is really nice. I like the fact that it's just you can slot them in and out of the same handle, so it's saving even more.
Yeah,
like plastic and stuff, and also you're never gonna have them all just laid out in front of him. You're gonna pick one, so that's quite cool.
Yes,
good work.
Do you
want to give the company a shout out, or technically is that committing a crime?
The company's SND.
The police are after him.
Yeah,
the bootleg police.
Which I can't remember what that stands for.
Sexy, nice deets.
There you go. That's the Figueroa Optimus Prime design.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. Oh god, you can see that.
So,
absolutely. Especially in the legs.
Yes. So it's a nice toy, and it's now the centerpiece of my collection because it's the most I've ever spent on a single Transformers toy.
My god.
Because I had to buy the figure for about £25, which is the cheapest I've ever found a Combiner Wars Prime for.
Smiles, by any chance?
No, that was eBay.
Because they sometimes just whack reductions on Transformers.
Even loose and complete on eBay, I've seen him go for well over £50.
Jesus, wow.
But I managed to snag him up for 25.
You could get at least a third of a B&M TARDIS for that.
Oh God, don't. And then.
So glad I bought that one. I did actually.
I think the upgrade kit was like another 35 odd quid. Plus shipping from China.
Crikey, Nora.
Yeah. But it's
Jane.
Totes worth it. Now I have to get more upgrade kits for my
Oh god, it started. Well, tell you what else has started.
What else?
Pre-production on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Wait, no. Hang on. I'm being handed a note by our invisible fictional assistant. Oh, through Telegram. Oh, cool. What's it say?
Incoming news bulletin. Stop. Production delayed indefinitely on new movie. Stop. Disney send everyone home from the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 pre-production. Stop. New director still not found. Stop.
Now, this is interesting because Disney have not made any announcements in regards to looking for a new director.
Or is it deeply upsetting?
It's really upsetting, but it's also the fact that production's halted not because I think there's some misinformation out there. A lot of people are thinking that it's because they've not found a new director, and sources indicate they haven't been looking yet.
No.
Because I imagine Kevin Feige and that side of it are still arguing guys, it should be James.
Well, the cast are clearly unhappy about it.
Oh, I mean,
So-
Dave Bautista very much so, yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to continue on without it. And it's weird because they're like, oh, well, they're probably going to still use his script. Well, why fire him and then use his script? How can you distance yourself from someone and then use his work?
I mean, I think we'd all rather them definitely use his
Stupid.
script if they're going ahead with the third one, but it does play hypocritical on their part.
Yeah, like, oh, we can't be associated with this person. We're still going to use his script. Fuck off. Fuck off, Alan Horn.
Yeah, because that's...
Thing. So this is like the first major roadblock that...
Yeah, I mean, well, the movie
MCU's
was as far as we know, because they haven't announced a slate beyond the fourth Avengers movie yet.
It was due to start shooting in winter.
Yeah, but we don't know if it was a late in 2019 or early 2020 release.
Yeah, but I imagine early 2020.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not happening. Let's face it, it's not going to happen unless they bring back Gunn. It ain't happening, at least in this iteration.
It has been delayed indefinitely.
Yeah, which means there is a sliver of a chance they could go, all right, something's been sorted, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But no time frame as to when that could occur, or deadlines. There's no deadlines anymore. They have let the production team go so they can get other work and not hang around, because they all thought they had jobs for the next 9 months.
Nope.
So, yeah. Fun. Someone summed it up on Twitter the other day quite beautifully. It was a tweet doing the rounds when the news broke about the indefinite hiatus. They said, so essentially, Disney let a agenda-pushing, alt-right rape apologist trick them out of earning hundreds of millions of dollars.
I mean, it's not like I feel sorry for Disney's bank account, but...
No, but at the same
was stupid
time,
of them.
like...
Yeah.
You know, they looked at that and went, oh, you're right. It's like...
No!
Hundreds of millions of dollars. Even on the cold, hard, basic level of the cash business side.
It's not good, is it?
It's the worst decision they could have made.
It's not good.
Oh,
Yeah.
but people will be disgusted that we're employing a guy who made, paedophile jokes. Yeah, guess what? That same guy's already made you all the money, and at least 80% of the audience for this have a head on their shoulders where they're going, yeah, you guys are in the wrong for firing him. They would go, oh, that's kind of gross, but he's apologised. We're going to come see the movie. There's only you're not going to lose a great deal who are like, this is sickening, and I've changed my mind. It's like, right, well, that's them.
I'm sickening. I'll change your mind.
Oh.
No, it's just the hypocrisy on all sides. Like, oh, I'm a rape apologist who's going to get this person fired for making rape and paedophilia jokes. It's like, oh, come the fuck on, like,
Yeah.
hold yourself to the same fucking standards at least. But that's ground we've well covered.
Yeah.
It's just it seems to be that
See
this
the
is where
previous episode and a couple of weeks ago's episode for more details.
It's just ridiculous. The point is they've essentially cancelled the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't cancelled the movie. It's on indefinite hiatus. It's on hold.
I.e., it's going to be very difficult to get it back to...
Yeah.
Even if they turned around in 3 months' time and went, right, okay, we've had a word, he's going to swallow his pride, and we're going to bring James Gunn back. Even if that was the outcome, it's like, right, well, his hand-picked crew are all busy doing other jobs now.
Yeah.
The cast will all have booked other work.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah. Trying to get the cast back together would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because they're all in demand as
Marvel
well.
Studios are putting more of their efforts now into Doctor Strange 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry guys, you're going to have to wait longer. So even if the film does happen, we're looking at another 4, maybe 5 years at minimum before we see it. So embrace seeing the Guardians and Avengers 4, guys, because it's possibly the last time we're ever going to see them.
No, never say ever.
Ever. Ha-ha!
Never say
I
ever
said
again.
Oh, God!
Yes, I'm back in the role with a different film studio.
Oh, on a similar subject.
That's how they do it. They just make a knockoff Guardians of the Galaxy when they become public domain.
On
in about 50 years.
On a similar subject, something we didn't talk about last week because it happened just after we recorded.
It did indeed.
Danny Boyle exited Bond 25.
He chuffing well
Over
did. Yeah, they
creative
unearthed dirty jokes he made. Oh wait, no, that's not happened.
No.
Well, we don't know why he left, aside from creative differences.
A rumor that I heard, I can't find a reliable source for it, is that he left because they wanted to kill off Bond. That doesn't track for me. That's
fine for me if they are indeed planning the next iteration to be a different take on it again. because then you are having Casino Royale to this one be one story. Like, this is one version of Bond. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm fine with that. But I know what you mean. Like, he probably went into it like, no, here's the Bond story I've always wanted to tell. I don't want to be the guy who pulls the trigger. And it's like, well, eh. But yeah, it was announced. It was announced, wasn't it, that it was the three names were the ones who announced that their relationship with Danny Boyle is finished, and he's not going to be the director. And one of the three names is, of course, one of the producers, which is Daniel Craig. So interesting.
This comes from a source from The Sun, so take it with a pinch of salt. But apparently,
oh god,
there were discussions about killing off Bond in dramatic fashion at the end. A source told The Sun, band of Liverpool. It would also leave it open for a twist in the next instalment. Either Bond hadn't died, or there could be a Doctor Who-esque regeneration with a new actor.
So not Doctor Who-esque at all. Just
these are reportedly part of the creative differences that caused Boyle to quit as director of the 25th Bond movie.
It's not. I like how they've rephrased. Doctor Who like regenerated. Do you just mean recasting?
Yeah.
Do you just mean a recasting, guys?
That's
like has happened in many other things. So arguably, James Bond being one of the sort of first things to do that in the mainstream.
So the Bond franchise is now up in the air.
They'll find a new direction. Again, they'll find a new direction in no time. I guarantee that. James Gunn.
This is my unpopular opinion.
James Gunn.
Unpopular opinion.
I'm going to predict your unpopular opinion. Let it die.
Let it die. Just let it go. Just let it. Like the character is a relic.
You're a relic, Bond.
You are. You're a misogynist dinosaur. I believe Judi Dench calls him in GoldenEye. It's.
Which is nice that they call it out. And to be fair, I've argued before, the Craig films do veer away from a lot of the problematic elements.
I think in some ways they lean into it harder.
I don't know. Oh no! Like, even if you watch Brosnan, which is definitely a lighter fare, if you watch Brosnan's era compared to Craig's, Brosnan's era is full of the more problematic stuff.
I just remember,
for Christ's sake, like Christmas Jones and all that stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? Just some of it's just cheesy and outdated, but other stuff is borderline rapey.
Watching Spectre, I felt deeply uncomfortable when he sort of almost rapes Monica Bellucci.
Yeah. Oh god. Then, it was just like, we're having sex now, right? I'm pissing off, and it's like,
who's the other Bond girl in that? Is it Léa Seydoux?
French actress, but I think so. I believe so.
And like their relationship exists only because that's what happens to female characters when Bond is around. It's absolutely
Skyfall's almost the least gross in that respect. Because there is a sexual interaction, a moment, but then it's just this one moment between these two characters in a moment of quiet.
Yeah.
And then it's not drawn on, but then she's fridged, but she also wasn't a central character, nor is her death a motivation for him. It's part of the deep undercover thing where he's just like, I just have to let this happen.
I'm not sure if that's better or worse.
I don't know, I'm not saying it's better for the tone overall, but within the context of the story, she's not used as just like
it's just
sex sells part of the appeal of the film, and then the rest of the film doesn't have a single element of that in Skyfall.
No, not really. Yeah.
And I'd argue Casino Royale battles against it a bit as well because it goes to the actual meaning relationship thing instead.
Yeah,
like the idea of a connection. But then Quantum of Solace is just a reaction to "you killed my woman," and it's like, okay. I mean,
Quantum of Solace is also very bad.
It is. It's got Gemma Arterton in it, and it's a waste of Gemma Arterton. It's great.
It's not very good at all.
Ah, well. The Sontum of Qualis.
And also, it's a stupid title.
It is. But it's a line from one of the books.
It's the title of one of the short stories.
It's the title of one of the short stories, I think. Doesn't mean it's a good movie title, folks.
It's bad.
So, what you're saying is...
It's actually bad.
What you're saying is, instead of making Idris Elba the next James Bond and keeping it going, give Idris Elba a brand new action franchise.
Well, he's confirmed now that he's not doing it.
Well, yeah, it was at the premiere. I think it was mostly to shut people up because it was the premiere of... What's this film?
Oh, Yardy.
It was the premiere of Yardy. He was asked repeatedly, and each time he went, no.
Nope.
Even though the week before he'd been sort of joking around, teasing
I think
it.
He's just being...
Well, I think he was happy to tease it, and then a week later was like, oh, for Christ's sake, this is all people are going to ask me at the premiere of my directorial debut.
Yeah, are you going to be Bond? Are you going to be Bond? Talk to me about the movie. Yeah. It's...
Mr. Affleck, tell us about your recent film, but also, Sir Batman, am I right?
Also, Ben Affleck.
You're a dirtbag and your brother's even worse.
He's falling apart, isn't he?
Yep, at the swings.
It's just... Guy needs some help. He's in a bad place.
Yeah.
Yarb. Talk about midlife crisis. But we won't dwell on that.
Talking about midlife crisis.
No.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work at all.
I just looked at the content as I said
Although, before we get to the next item I've got on the list, I just want to slip in. I finished the second season.
Like Bond, you creepy, creepy man.
I finally finished the second season of Luke Cage last night.
Oh, snap. Thoughts?
Especially, and I thought, I better finish this because fucking Iron Fist is out next week.
Yeah, I'm now 2 seasons behind. I haven't seen Jessica Jones season 2 and I haven't seen Luke Cage season 2.
Yeah,
Mind you, I've got my evenings free now, so I might actually plow through it. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Well, I'll see. What's it like?
It's pretty good.
Is it full of sexy music? And...
It is full of sexy music, and it finishes in a really interesting place for Luke.
Oh, open-ended?
Oh yeah, active. Apparently they have always had a 3-season plan for Luke.
Oh, good. Oh, I like that. I like that they have a plan, but it's a contained plan as opposed to we have an 8-year plan for the character in the show.
The last
3 seasons.
The last episode is like an hour and 10 minutes long.
Okay. And they've done that a couple times now.
The last 15 to 20 minutes of it are just putting all the pieces in place for where he's going to be next time we see him.
Okay. Ooh. All right.
Whatever form that takes.
Yeah, be it a Defenders run-up, be it part of a Jessica Jones or Iron Fist season.
I think it's more likely that the next time we'll see him will be full-on Luke Cage season 3. I don't... Where he's left at the end of... Or the position he finds himself in at the end of season 2 of Luke Cage, he could show up in Iron Fist, but I don't know if that'll fit with the tone of that show. There is an episode of Iron Fist and him teaming up in this season.
Is it called Heroes for Hire?
No.
Why the hell is it not called Heroes for Hire?
Pretty good, though.
I'm down.
Pretty good.
Does, what's his face? Finn Jones?
Yeah.
Does he get to show off chops better in this? Have they found a better dynamic?
It is
Danny
better.
Rand?
It's still not great, but it is better.
Is it still not great because he's not great at it, or is it not great because the taste of that season and the Defenders and the character and that is still there?
I tell you what, I'll see what he's like in the next season of Iron Fist, and I'll let you know. Because, like I say, that's out on the Friday after this comes out, so it's September 7th. So, yeah. We won't be talking about it because I'll be on holiday, so the next episode of this is going to be a pre-record.
What? No, it isn't. It's totally going to be live and reactive. That's why we'll definitely ignore the big news stories of the week, because
won't be talking
obviously
about
those news stories are going to be really devastating, so we're just going to ignore them.
Yeah.
Because we want to talk about other things.
But let's talk about something nice before we talk about anything, because we're not going to talk about anything devastating. We are recording this on August 28th, 2018.
The year of our Lord.
Which would have been the 101st birthday of Jack King Kirby.
Oh, yeah.
So can we just talk about Jack Kirby for 5 to 10 minutes?
Let's talk about Jack Kirby for 5 to 10 minutes.
Well,
let's aim 5-10 minutes, because we're recording 2 episodes today.
Okay,
I mean, what? No, we're not. What are you talking about?
No, and then, and I've got to talk about something I really don't want to talk about, but I think is important after this.
For those who don't know, Jack King Kirby was a comic book illustrator and freaking revolutionary designer with an imagination second to none.
I'm sure we probably talked about him on his 100th birthday.
We've definitely spoke about him before, but he was probably the biggest driving force in comics, particularly in the 60s. That was probably the decade where he shone the brightest because of how much work he took on.
He was basically drawing all of Marvel's books except for Spider-Man at one point.
Yeah. Jack Kirby was there in the era, in terms of Marvel, he was there during the era of what was known as the Marvel Method.
Yeah.
Where, for better or for worse, Stan Lee kept more artists employed by... That was the upside of it all.
Yeah.
By loosely plotting or giving the loose plot structure to his artists, because he was in charge of writing so many books at this point. They would draw the story based on certain pages and a couple of moments where he'd be like, oh, do that, and do that.
Yeah.
and then he would come in and finish the writing, give it to the letterer, or in some instances be like, "Could you write that?" And I'll then put my pizzazz on it and put the dialogue in. There's pros and cons to how all that went on, but in terms of the economy of the world, of the artist world and the comic world at that point, it kept a lot of people employed. But then
again, not a lot of people got all the money they were owed for that, including Jack Kirby.
And in some cases, people like Jack Kirby took on so many projects.
Just to try and keep their head above water.
Yeah, and I mean, it has been known that he obviously trained himself to a point where he could just plough through this work.
He did nothing but draw.
Like in the 70s, he was working on stuff where it was just like the accounts of people were like, they'd ask in the morning, they'd be like, "All right, so we'll start that," and then by the end of that week, they'd be sent the complete thing already.
Yeah,
it's like, what the hell? It's usually like 2 or 3 weeks before they get it, and he'd just done it, bashed it out, and had the time for it to be mailed over a couple of days.
And you can tell that the sort of like speed of it because his work is so brutal. Like
there are casualties along the way.
It's all like clenched faces and like stocky poses, and it's just
the dude did not revel in the he didn't revel in the sort of the poster pose sort of thing for characters. Like you would not see necessarily a giant pull out poster of a Jack Kirby cover or something like that, because they're not these big, grand, sexy, dynamic thingy. They just are.
I don't know.
And there's definitely a lot of energy. But
they're kind of sexy and dynamic in their own way.
No, but you know what I mean. You got your John Romita seniors and things like that. You get like these big blow ups of their covers and Jim Lee's. Whereas Jack Kirby's don't really work in the same way. But there is so much character crammed into those panels.
Oh man! I tell you what, boy.
His most notable work for me is Fantastic Four.
Yep, 102 issues of him and Stan Lee.
100. Oh my god! 101st birthday, 102th. That was my proper introduction to him, aside from just glimpses in guidebooks and stuff. Was reading when the UK Fantastic Four, was it called Fantastic Four Adventures?
I believe so. That sounds
started coming out
right.
in the mid 2000s.
Yeah,
their first 2 strips were I think it was Mark Waid and Mike Wieringo.
Because
it would
have picked up after Heroes Reborn.
Yeah, they were picking up some of the late 90s stuff, and then they skipped ahead a little bit.
When they reprinted Onslaught in Essential X-Men, they used that as a spring. Used the Heroes Return event as a springboard to launch Avengers and Fantastic Four collections as well.
That was the one.
That's what it was.
But the backup strip, like the third strip in these magazines, was, for a bit it was something else, and then like 6-7 issues in or whatever, it was Fantastic Four issue 1. And that became my favourite part of the mag. Like, reading the older ones was my favourite part of the mag, because basic layout, basic page layouts, like, square, maybe an oblong, square, maybe an a bunch of squares, like.
Except you get,
but he would cram so much story and emotion into those panels.
He would also, and then there was some really weird stuff later on, particularly in Thor, where he started using photo montage for really weird cosmic stuff, like Ego, the Living Planet, the first appearance of Ego.
Well, of course, because this is where he really starts to use stuff like the patented Kirby crackle and things like that, like these different visual effects that he would use to just create. Him and Steve Ditko were absolutely revolutionary at creating what the cosmic Marvel looks like, and cosmic comics beyond that, because Kirby, of course, went over and worked with DC on New Gods. Was that his? Is that his boy? So some of his style carries over into the other parts of the industry, to the distinguished competition. And just the look of these things. Ben Grimm, there's only 2 artists I think of when I think of like a really good looking The Thing, and it's Jack Kirby and Mike Wieringo. Like, those are the 2 artists where I'm like, that's Ben Grimm to me. Wieringo's has got a lot more emotion, and the baby blues like pop out. But Jack's looks like a man struggling with being
all of Jack Kirby's characters look like a man struggling.
But you know what I mean though? Like his Ben Grimm looks like he resents being in the body he's in. In every panel, he never looks completely relaxed ever.
You want to see a bonkers Kirby splash page? That's the first appearance of Ego, the Living Planet, from Thor 132.
That is beautiful.
That's photo montage with weird stuff on.
That is beautiful.
Like, it's bonkers.
Name some of his highlights, Matt.
early the Mighty Thor. After Journey into Mystery becomes the Mighty Thor, and it goes all weird and cosmic with stuff like Ego, the Fantastic Four, OBS.
Don't need no more.
Don't need no more. The early Avengers stuff, although he comes off that quite quickly.
Yeah, like that first batch of Avengers is his, isn't it? The first few issues and everything.
He
that cover of Loki, like over the shoulder shot of Loki looking at the first team.
He drew the original, at least first few issues of X-Men, Avengers, Incredible Hulk, the first appearances of Ant-Man in Tales to Astonish, of Iron... no, he didn't draw Iron Man, actually.
Yeah, it was... some bugger. I mean, he drew him in. He drew him in Avengers.
Yeah. What else?
Over at DC, did Etrigan the Demon?
Yeah, Etrigan the Demon's a classic Kirby character. I'm not as familiar with his DC work. Black Panther obviously debuted in Fantastic Four during Kirby's run. Not only did he help resurrect Captain America for the Silver Age of comics, but also co-created him in the Golden Age during World War II. Of
course, yeah, he's one of Captain America's daddies.
Yeah. Did a lot of cover work for a lot of characters, even though he didn't draw the books or co-create them. It just...
Black Panther's one of his as well, isn't he?
Fantastic Four, originally.
Of course, yeah.
He did Fantastic Four. And then,
as a villain, misguided a bit.
Sort of, like, for one issue, for like an issue and a bit, maybe. And then he's like, the Fantastic Four, you are my friends now. Come and hang out in Wakanda. And they hang out in Wakanda and just live in luxury for like 3 issues or something. It's yeah. But all the time, Johnny Storm's pining over Crystal because the Inhumans are locked in their own domed city. It's like, I've got to find a way to get to Crystal. And Crystal's inside the Inhuman city going, I've got to find a way to get to Johnny. Even though they've met each other for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's 60s comics.
Unrequited love, bitch.
Yeah. and then Doomsday happens. So it's all very fun. Galactus.
Mr. Miracle's one of his.
King Galactus. Yeah, Mr. Miracle's part 1 of the New Gods.
Of course, yeah. Have they got the new version of that off the ground yet, or did it only come around for like an issue or two?
Mr. Miracle had a mini recently, and there's
it was
some
meant
New
to
God
be an
stuff
ongoing,
going on.
wasn't it?
I'm not sure. But I'm not sure what the New God's status is in the current DC universe. I know Mr. Miracle's a thing. He's around.
Oh god, of course, Kamandi.
Or is it Kamandi?
I would call him Kamandi, but I think that's just the.
I'm gonna say Kamandi.
I'll have to watch Brave and the Bold again, because he's in at least 3 Brave and the Bolds.
The last boy on Earth. A sensational DC Jack Kirby blockbuster. We're just looking through covers of his on the Google image search, and just the dynamic strength of the figures. Like, they're just big and stocky, and like, look at that. Like, we're looking at Fantastic Four 82, so you've got the thing in the foreground, and you've got Black Bolt coming over the top.
Yeah.
That looks like a John Romita Jr. Like, John Romita Jr. has taken that sort of, that width and strength and square figures and translated that directly into some of his best art. Like, Kirby was the king, and everyone did what he did. To the point where in the early days of Marvel, if Jack Kirby wasn't drawing a book, he was probably doing the layouts, and then everyone else was penciling in his style on top.
Yeah, everyone else is finishing it up.
Yeah, like, that happened quite a bit.
I mean, look at that one for thinking Thor issue 144.
Yeah. This battleground Earth. Just Thor reaching for this enormous cosmic rod in the foreground. And it's
being wielded by a mystery assailant. You can't quite see them.
The power in that image. And that's, Oh! Tales of Asgard!
Was that one of his?
It was him and Stan Lee. It was a backup feature in Journey into Mystery. And then it was collected as a miniseries not long after the first Thor movie came out, or around the same time, I think. Which I've got the trade of as part of my, the graphic novel collection. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And it fills in all the mythology of Thor, that early mythology of Thor. And adapts some Norse myths into it, but with the Marvel twist. It's just great. Just great.
Happy 101st birthday to the late great Jack Kirby. Do yourself a favour, folk.
Go read some Jack Kirby.
Go read some Jack Kirby stuff. Go look at... Or just do what we've just done. Just Google Jack Kirby covers and look at that lush freaking...
I'm going to have to dig into some 60s Marvel
cavalcade.
tonight. I'm going to have to do it.
A Jack Kirby cover for a Ghost Rider. Look at that.
I'm going to dig out my Doomsday hardcover and go to town.
Look at that.
Where Silver Surfer was his hit. Silver Surfer and Galactus and the Watcher, Doctor Doom, all those characters.
Like all the crackle,
yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's absolutely beautiful.
We like Jack Kirby, by the way.
Fan of his work. Now, from lovely comics to...
God, right,
I'm assuming
okay.
complicated comics. I know nothing of this, but I've seen it mentioned on
It keeps popping up on Twitter, and I thought I'd address it because basically this is what got Ethan Van Sciver fired from DC.
Remind me for a second who that is.
Artist for DC, drew a lot of the Jeff Johns Green Lantern stuff.
Right.
Flash Rebirth as well for Jeff Johns.
Mm-hmm.
Drawn some great comics. Turns out it's a piece of shit.
I think this just first came out about a year ago, am I right?
Yeah.
Like several people, notably women who work at DC.
It all came out of...
Yeah,
this all came out of... So, basically, it was a bunch of Marvel staffers. They were celebrating...
I think I remember
Celebrate the life of Flo Steinberg. Who passed away a few days earlier. She was she had a key role in Marvel in the early days and helped to expand it. And editor Heather Antos, who was at the time editing The Unbelievable Gwenpool, her a bunch of female Marvel staffers went out, got milkshakes, did a selfie, and then
I remember this. It's the Marvel Milkshake Group.
Yeah.
Hashtag Fabulous Flo.
And then people just started throwing shit at her through Twitter and DMing, and then
let me guess, just.
Oh, right, so you're not like the blokes aren't allowed to come and celebrate with you. Oh, what is it? All just girl power then? You're completely ignoring the men.
Fake
Fake
girls. Fake girls.
For God's sake, they all work for Marvel.
The creepiest collection of stereotypical SJWs anyone can possibly imagine because they're all getting milkshakes, apparently.
Sake.
And then it was later dubbed, the whole thing was later dubbed Comicsgate.
How to kill a phrase?
But yeah,
keep attaching it
because
to
that's
things,
the thing.
but
That's the thing. It's those kind of movements have always come
from whining straight white males.
Yeah, basically. Well, what happened in October of last year at New York Comic Con? A Marvel breakfast for retailers. Apparently, a few retailers got upset about declining sales and laid the blame on black, homo, and freaking female comics put out by Marvel.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Right, so Marvel have in the last 5 years in particular, a bit longer, but 5 years notably, been pushing for more of a diverse cast in terms of its... Like, if you went to a comic stand and you looked at the Marvel releases, you would see white heroes, black heroes, heroes from Asia, heroes from like families that have grown up in America from elsewhere in the world. You would see writers of different gender. You would see writers of colour on the books. You would see a variety of characters. If you like Spider-Man, great. If you would like to see a different take on Spider-Man, you've got a couple of other characters out there from different ethnic backgrounds also in the role of Spider-Man. They're basically going, here's an option, guys. It's providing something that isn't there.
Yeah.
And trying to fix essentially a problem that's been around for a while that is not the fault of the people who came before them per se.
Yeah.
But a lot of people take it as that.
But also
a lot of people take it as, oh, you saying we were being racist because we didn't have these things. You're just pushing an agenda.
There's a thing that people get upset. People get upset about, like, status quo of comics changing all the time. It's like,
female Thor, what? Because they had a cool story to tell and decided that Jane Foster should be Thor for a bit.
That is literally continuity.
Because Thor isn't a person per se; it's also sort of an identity and an inheritance.
Yes, because
Thor still existed.
Yeah,
like was Thor Odin's son?
He's the unworthy Thor.
The unworthy Thor, and you could read two stories. You could find out the person who has the mantle and what they're doing now, the Jane Foster story, and you could read Unworthy Thor and find out what he's doing on the side.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like your stuff got taken away. The stories just got expanded.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have to take away. Like, people get hung up on continuity and like, oh, this should be this because they were this before. I'm like, as long as you've got a good story to tell, pardon me, continuity only matters insofar as it allows you to tell the story you want to tell.
Yeah.
If continuity gets in the way of you telling the story you want to tell, but you think it's good, just ignore it.
Yeah.
Fucking Bendis did.
Yeah.
Does. And
but true.
People call him out on it all the time.
But true.
It's whatever.
If you tell a good story, great, and then you can retcon from that point if you want.
the
If
mythology-
another writer wants to stick to continuity, they can go, well, I can either ignore what they did and go back, or I'll do it based on what they did.
The mythology of these characters and these universes is so fluid and flexible that you can just kind of do whatever you want with it and fudge it as much as you need to.
You can
make
tell
it
the
work
story
for
of
the
high
story you
school.
want.
You can tell a flashback story of high school Peter Parker now, and guess what? That and the stuff that happened in the 60s, they still both happened. If the writer decides that they both happened.
Yeah.
But even if they did both happen, you're going to look at them and you'll be like, yeah, these visually look very different from each other.
Yeah.
And they're talking very different. It's because it's fluid. It's time moves and changes. It's like...
Basically, the Marvel Universe is always at... the Fantastic Four appeared about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And the Avengers are a couple of years after that.
Yeah.
And it just moves forward to the present and then backdates some stuff.
And eventually it's going to move on even further as well.
Yes, it is.
Like, because it's a very slow rate of aging. Like, if Fantastic Four appeared 15 years ago, Johnny now is like 30.
If that, He's the same age as Peter Parker, so whatever age Peter's
So,
supposed
like,
to
late
be,
20s moving to the 30s.
That is what age Johnny's supposed to be,
Which is completely fine, because we have, like, decades worth of stories with the characters slowly taking place over time. Fair enough, that's great. And, hey, maybe it means in the future, in terms of the continuity and narrative, in about 10 years from now, they decide, you know what, we're going to start introducing a new generation of heroes, and these will now
Which
be
is
the
what they've
older
been
guard.
doing.
Which is great,
for the last couple of years.
Kamala Khan,
Last
Miles Morales.
decade, really.
Yeah, Miles Morales, recontextualising characters like Carol Danvers to give them a different role and more of a key role so that they get more of the spotlight instead of just being part of team books.
Riri Williams as Ironheart.
Who's now getting an ongoing.
Handing over the mantle of the Hulk to Amadeus Cho. Things like... It's just... It's
like new characters and legacy characters.
Yeah.
Who are taking on the names and like... This is great. As a reader myself, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I will always love the older characters. And even if they're written out, I'll always love them. And if I want to see them, I go back and read any of the things with them.
Yeah.
Like,
you can't...
It exists. People love Watchmen. No one is sitting around going, make more Watchmen.
They did it anyway.
When they did, people were like, someone were like, oh, I enjoy this. And others were like, I didn't need this.
I've not read any before Watchmen.
There's a good example. Like,
Doomsday Clock's at the halfway point.
I love that story. Like oh, there it is. It exists in that book.
Yeah.
I can go back and revisit it whenever I want. Like, that's how it works.
Yeah.
People get really greedy in terms of their attachment to the characters.
They get
and they get defensive.
They begin to feel ownership more than they actually have.
And unfortunately, it manifests in, or at least encourages those with tendencies of homophobia, xenophobia, sexist sort of bigoted views. Which is so a year ago, that photo's put out. Some of the female employees of Marvel go out and get milkshakes and take a selfie, and an unnervingly loud reaction is from people being like, "Oh, right, no boys allowed. Oh, this is disgusting. Oh, you're fake geek girls." Why? Why not just say, "Oh, that's really cool that you're honouring one of Marvel's most important figures. That's awesome. Girl power." Do you know what I mean? Just like go, "Yeah, great, awesome, fantastic." Yeah. So that was a year ago.
So and then Richard C. Meyer, who runs the Diversity in Comics channel on YouTube.
Okay, is this a pro-diversity in comics or a critique of diversity in comics channel? Because that is a big thing on YouTube as well. Is people slamming the diversity in comics.
This is a critique of diversity in comics. Bleeding Cool, who are a problematic website of themselves, listed him in an end-of-year countdown of influential people in comics, calling him the centre of alt-right comics hate speech, with the ability to get comic creators who really should know better to engage with him even if they are screaming for blood. And then he...
Okay, so they acknowledge him by saying he's important because he's making waves, but it's not necessarily for the right reasons.
Yeah. And then he aligns himself with Ethan Van Sciver, who is a guy who's worked for DC a lot, does the Flash Rebirth, Green Lantern. On Twitter, he's like, "Oh, I'm a diverse guy." But he's publicly identified himself as a Republican. He leans towards a Breitbart-flavoured right.
Right, because again, disclaimer for any of our American listeners, there's nothing wrong with being a Republican, but there are things wrong with being a piece of shit.
A picture
and unfortunately, a lot of the further right-leaning places are problematic because they just want to cause hatred and stuff.
Well, a picture of his...
You can be a Republican and be a good person. Of course you can. It'd be stupid to say otherwise. But then there are others who take it too far.
But he's shared a bunch of Trump memes, stuff like that.
Oh god, yeah.
Pro-war stuff. He labels his sketchbooks "My Struggle."
Oh god!
In reference to Mein Kampf.
Yeah, Hitler's memoir.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. So not a great dude. Not a great dude. And he's sort of taken it and run with it. He's done stuff with things like he's told Facebook followers to go kill themselves. He got Daryl Io, a black independent comics creator. They got into an argument on Twitter. He'd also been the subject of a comics diversity video. Van Sciver invited him on his show because Van Sciver is quite active on YouTube, because of course he is. And then he started getting harassed by Comicsgate. So it's a whole
shitstorm.
It's a whole shitstorm, and it's not really one big thing, but it's essentially a group of incidents that have basically divided comic fans into two sort of camps, to the point where they keep getting blacklists, the Comicsgate blacklists that keep coming out from this movement of SJW creators that you should avoid. And then there's one example here of this tweet, which is so you should avoid Tamara Bonvillain, Tess Fowler, John Lehman, Justin Gray, Larry Harmer, Jamal Eagle, Richard Pace, Josh Hale Fieldkov, Kwanzaa, Aubrey Citizen. And it's they're just, these are people who pushing the agenda. The more recent one organises names under titles like the Pravda Press or the SJW Vipers. Larry Hammer again, Mark Wade, Alex DeCampe, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Matt Fraction, Ta-Nehisi Coates.
It's basically good people doing good work.
It is not coincidental that all these people singled out are women, or people of colour, or fucking left-leaning political figures, political beliefs. However, the thing that kicked all this off, and what more recently happened, is over the weekend we got what began as pros from Marvel and DC and beyond have sort of expressed solidarity against Comicsgate. That then spiraled into harassment against Marsha Cook, the widow of late writer and illustrator Darwin Cook.
Oh, Christ.
Basically,
again, another person whose artwork you should look at, because it's
Darwin
artwork.
Cook was the fucking bomb. So Tom Taylor, who writes Injustice, wrote Justice League Power Rangers crossover, he put out a tweet saying, "I believe comics for everyone. There is no excuse for harassment. There is no place for homophobia, transphobia, racism, or misogyny in comics criticism." And then that got copied, pasted, and paraphrased around Twitter by other comics professionals. So people like Magdalene Visaggio, Jodie Hauser, Kelly Thompson, Tim Seeley, Margaret Stoll, Jason Latour, Teenie Howard, Bill Sienkiewicz, Greg Pak, Fabian Nikezia, Benjamin Purser, Jeff Lemire, Tom King, all those people. Mm. So Marsha Cook came back to social media because a bunch of pro Comicsgate folks had shared a video of Darwin Cook at a con where he says, "I don't want to see characters who have been straight for 60 years become lesbian overnight because the creators are too stupid to come up with something decent."
Okay.
Which isn't a great thing to say.
It's definitely not greatly word. I see his intent.
Yes. Well,
but it is worded, unfortunately, very bluntly and kind of nastily.
Marsha Cook,
but it sort of dismisses the idea of sexual identity as being something you can switch on and off like a light switch.
Marsha Cook went on to explain that he meant retroactively changing sexuality for sales promotion. He was against queer baiting, basically.
Which is good, fair enough, because queer baiting is kind of gross.
He also feels like Sherlock. It was a bit of an ambush interview.
Okay,
kind of jumped the question when it's like, that's just said so.
So the clip has been taken out of context.
Yeah, and she argues that
his response was blunt. The clip was sort of presented without any context to it.
And she argued that he championed diversity and hated misogyny, homophobia, and racism. And of course, more people came at her for that, and then more comics pros came out in support of her. So it's really this last weekend that it's really crystallized into a strong show of
it's that one thing
repelling of this Comicsgate.
So if you're pro Comicsgate, you're the alt-right, loud, non-diversity. Okay, right. Because I was thinking I never got Gamergate. I was like, right, well, hang on, wait, what? Huh? So, right, pro Comicsgate people have seen that clip and decided, see, one of your own that you respected agree with us.
Yeah, basically.
And his widow is saying, no. It's unfortunately worded in that clip.
They're taking the words of a dead man and trying to use it to push their own agenda.
Yeah. Because again, they don't have a point other than hatred.
Yeah.
They don't have a genuine concern other than hatred for things that are different.
Like, there's a video...
And they're shouting and using they're using the words of a dead man as a weapon.
There's a video here...
who definitely did not feel
of someone
as strongly or even anywhere in the same ballpark as they did.
There's someone... there's a video of one of these Comicsgaters stabbing a copy of West Coast Avengers, the new West Coast Avengers series, because it's more hipster trash.
So they spent the money.
They're just
they spent the money. They gave Marvel money.
They keep blaming the low readership on forced diversity. It's like that's not the industry anymore. Like, you're not going to get another Jim Lee's X-Men. You're not going to get that. That success, because the industry isn't like that anymore.
I liken this to obviously different, because it's different to do with race and sort of elements of xenophobia and homophobia and everything. But it's like what's one of my favourite TV shows? Doctor Who.
Yes.
Have I enjoyed Doctor Who much in the last 5 years in terms of the new stuff? No. This would be like me on sort of camera setting fire to my collection and going, see what? What point am I making? Other people dig it. I've got no problem with it. The viewership's declined, but that's not because it's not exactly the same as I want it to be.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. And again, it's just that it sums it up that they want to make a point. I'm going to buy this issue. I'm going to buy this issue and then stab it with a knife to show how much I dislike it. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Well, you've given the company your money, so they don't care. And what you're doing looks childish and unnecessarily violent. So people are going to think you're nuts. What are you trying to prove?
Yeah.
That you're a xenophobe and a homophobe.
And there's all sorts of... These more storied sort of... ups and downs to this whole fucking movement. You can some people have traced it back to Chelsea Kane's Mockingbird series being cancelled because of the Ask Me About My Feminist Agenda cover. And then the abuse
I can
she
see
got
why
for that.
sort of could piss people, but at the same time, it's not a reason to cancel a freaking book.
Richard C. Mayer, who runs this Comics and Diversity channel, he tried to publish a book called Jawbreakers, Lost Souls, which is basically, from what I've seen of it, it's this like Youngblood, Wildcat style, 90s throwback bullshit.
Pouches, butts.
And basically a bunch of retailers and Antarctic Press who were going to publish it. Basically around said, after Mark Waid had a conversation with them, they were like, yeah, we don't think this appeals to our demographic, and he's not the kind of person we want to associate ourselves with, so we're not publishing it anymore.
Yeah,
and that pissed all the Comicsgaters off even more.
I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of the Comicsgaters are all in their mid to late 30s.
I honestly believe
all white and straight.
Yeah,
all really annoyed that their toys are being quote.
I think it's exactly the same kind of people who are getting upset about The Last Jedi. Not for legitimate
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Disclaimer.
I think it's.
But yeah, it's the whole thing of, oh, it was terrible because there's a Chinese character in it.
I'm sorry, wait, what could you... Right, there's so many things wrong with what you just said.
I reckon there would be a big old crossover in the Venn diagram between these folks and the remake The Last Jedi crowd.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
That's my belief.
And again, there's nothing wrong with being conservative or Republican in your beliefs, guys. If you truly believe that the things you're doing are for the best reasons. But that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these people owned a certain red hat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just like, why?
Why don't we do an email?
Okay,
because,
that's a good segue. That was depressing. Let's do something less depressing.
Because Comicsgate...
Hopefully. Let's see what people have been saying.
Comicsgate is making me sad. And we're going to bring in this episode at around an hour, so that's got to be a record.
I know,
This one comes in from Dan.
Hello, Dan, with your tiny knees.
Dan Rowlings.
He's got tiny
The
knees.
return of Dan Rowlings. He says, today...
Oh, it's my birthday!
And he sent this 5 days ago.
Oh.
I met Dan Sherritt of the Five Who Fans and Aimless Wanderings in Burger King.
He's always hanging out in Burger King.
He was more than happy to chat about the channel and what he's been up to, and it inspired this week's Big Damn Question.
Oh, mince.
What is the weirdest place you've met someone you didn't think you would meet?
Oh.
During the Doctor Who 50th anniversary celebration in London, I was stood outside the toilets when Peter Davison, Colin Baker and Sylvester Ye McCoy walked past and said hi. Colin's stomach hit me in the face and I'll never forget it.
I'm not sure that's true.
Be nice to Colin.
Colin. He was the best that he could be.
I'm sure I saw Matt on Deansgate recently as well, but wasn't totally sure if it was him, so I didn't risk running up to him once to find out it wasn't. That's all, Big Damn Barstewards. Scongo is the best villain.
It probably was you.
It probably was
it?
me. I do my shitty day job is on the corner of Mount Street and Peter Street at a coffee shop of which the franchise we will not name. So yeah,
it's Nero.
I do walk. I can
you can't say whether it is or not.
I can neither confirm or deny the identity of the chain in which I work because that means then I can talk shit about them. Which I frequently do. So
that earns you a Tim Curry laugh.
So yeah, you may well have seen me on Deansgate. I do go through Deansgate on my way to and from my boring shitty day job. Weirdest place you've met people you didn't think you'd meet? Nico McBrain, the drummer from Iron Maiden, was in my work a few months back.
Oh yeah, you did mention that.
Yeah, because he was opening his drum shop in Trafford, and then he ended up in the centre of Manchester. And then I looked up just after I started my shift to serve him, to serve the next person. I was like, oh, it's fucking Nico McBrain. Cool. That was.
Well, that take by surprise because you're in a sort of disarmed position though.
Yeah.
But you're like, I can't say anything to them really, which is good, I suppose.
Yep.
But at the same time, he's here for a little bit. I'd like to say something to him.
When I was working at the Bush Theatre down in London, because I was working front of house and I was duty managing and stuff, I would always see people from different places.
When I was making Dennis the Menace and Nasher for a good portion of that year, I crashed with you.
Yeah,
and I'd meet you. It was usually a Monday or Sunday night, and I'd meet you at the Bush.
Yeah.
And I remember one night sitting at the bar, and David Schwimmer sat in there.
Yeah,
I was just like,
David,
oh wow.
David Schwimmer was directing a one-woman show for someone. Was like helping them out with it. I
bumped into Chris Eccleston in Morrison's in Eccles.
Nice.
About 13 years ago.
Nice.
Probably would have been. Yeah, that was cute. That was
I,
really cute. Sort of like, oh wow, it was like during the early Tennant years. And I remember just being really surprised. I sort of clocked his eye.
You're a human man.
I clearly had that look on my face of, huh? And he sort of looked back and he went, hiya. I was like, hello. And that was sweet. And then we saw him at college because he came out in Eccleston properly.
I went into the toilets at the Bush once to take a whiz and noticed that I was at the urinal next to Arthur Darvill.
Yeah.
I once told off David Tennant and said, "You need to take your seat so we can start the show." That was good fun. He's very nice.
He's like, oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, he's...
And then he knocked over several glasses.
Yeah, it's like...
And stared you in the face and went, tell me that again.
Tell me that again.
And then you wrestled him. And then you kissed passionately.
Oh man, if only. Who else has pops up there? Peter Capaldi.
When he was doing with the Boosh.
Yeah, he came to see a show once there, so I served him briefly. And
someone just fell over on the sink. That was creepy.
But he was. I think it must have been around the time he was doing not three. Around the time he was doing Musketeers, because he had the facial
beard.
Hair.
Yeah.
And it was before he'd been announced as Doctor Who, but like a week before or something.
Freshly shaved.
Yeah.
I went to the press night for The Infidel at the West End.
Oh yeah.
I got an invite because I really tangentially know David Baddiel a bit because I worked with his wife Moana Banks on Dennis the Menace and Gnasher.
Yes.
And so I got an invite. He chucked me an invite with a +1. He was like, come to the thing. I was like, yay, I don't live in London anymore. And he figured out, so me and the lovely Tom Rees-Kay popped along because we were planning on meeting up but not seeing him in Donkey, so we went to it.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of people there, and I very briefly chatted with Jonathan Ross for a moment and Sacha Baron Cohen. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And it was a bit whirlwindy. I was like, this is fucking insane. But I ended up having a 5-minute chat, and it was only a couple of minutes into it that I realised it hit me with Lindsay Duncan.
Yeah.
About Hacker the dog.
Yeah.
She loves Hacker the dog.
Yeah.
So we were chatting about that, and I was just talking away, and in my head I was like, this is Lindsay Duncan. It just sort of hit me 2 minutes into the conversation.
Yeah.
That's one of those ones. So it was an environment where I was around a lot of people that I admire. And I was like, oh my god, it's really cool. But it was only during that conversation that I was like, oh, I actually feel a bit butterflies here. This is quite nice. That was cute.
Dominic West was a big supporter of the Bush Theatre, so I met him at one of the supporters evenings, which I was running as the manager for that night. So that was quite nice. I've served Benedict Cumberbatch and Bill Bailey, not at the same time, different nights.
Should at the same with each hand whilst they're ordering separately.
Charlie has a great one actually.
Oh, I.
Where he was on his way to somewhere or other and almost literally bumped into Tom Hiddleston.
Oh.
And very briefly
Collided,
exchanged a thing with him, but couldn't get for it, and then because apparently he was very nice and apologetic, but he was running late for a show he was going to go see. Not a show he was in, thankfully. Yeah. And he was like, I'm very sorry, guys. But Charlie was just saying nice things to him, and he just had to run off. Just had to run off. So I was like, okay, cool. That's neat. And
just bump it into Loki.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Just bump it into Loki.
Bump right in.
A friend of mine I worked at the library with when I was down in London. I used to work in a library down in Deptford. And it was when they were filming Age of Ultron. A friend of mine just went into a bakery to get some lunch, and Joss Whedon was in there getting lunch. There's pictures of him with Joss Whedon on a break from filming Age of Ultron. I've bumped into loads of people.
Lucy's she might correct me, but I think one of the cutest ones was when Lucy had a very brief chat with John Leeson. We were doing the Doctor Who celebration, and we'd done the first event because me and Kevin Scott were co-hosting a games thing, and then we went back to the lift, and Lucy come to watch the first one, and we got in the lift and we'd been taken up, and we suddenly realised that Camille Kajori's in here, and there's a few other people in here. This is kind of cool. And John Leeson, Lucy's wearing a Fourth Doctor scarf, and John Leeson just sort of goes, I just wonder how many miles and miles of that material do you think has been used to make that scarf over the years? And you could tell it just sort of struck him.
Yeah.
And Lucy went, oh, I don't know. And he was like, it's an interesting thought, isn't it? Something to think about. I was just like, what?
What's happening?
K9 just chatting away about his scarf.
Yeah, good.
So and I do hope we have many more random bump-ins with folk over there.
Another good one, which I didn't get because I didn't know who they were.
Ross Noble once said my Boba Fett hoodie was nice.
Nice?
As he walked past. He goes, that's a nice hoodie. That Boba Fett's really good. Just kind of walking. I was like, oh, fucking Ross Noble.
I once kicked the pub I used to work in not long after I moved back into Manchester. I once kicked out the Trailer Park Boys because they brought we had a no outside food policy. So one of them brought his Subway in, and I was like, dude, you can't hear that. And he was like, oh, sorry. And then went outside, and that was it.
So if you want to stand outside, eat outside, and then come in, go for it, mate. Go for it. It's wine. Get out, you dick.
And then the people I work with were like, that was the Trailer Park Boys. I was like, who?
What?
I still don't know who they are.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
I know that it's a show that's on YouTube and it's a comedy show apparently, but I every time I look at it, I go, nope, not for me. Thank you very much.
That's the Trailer Park Boys. You hear Benedict Cumberbatch, and you say,
oh, let's.
lots of folk. Some folks go to stuff.
Let's go. Let's go somewhere else.
Let's go fly a kite.
So, little reminder, next week's episode
It's definitely timely. It's definitely timely, but that being said, don't expect emails to be read.
You won't get any on it because we're recording it ahead of time, so deal with it.
But we will bank some emails for the following week.
Yes.
So
and of
get
course,
them sent info. BigDamnContact@gmail.com.
Of course, at Big Damn Cast on Twitter, Big Damn Streamer on Twitch. You'll see us about.
Yeah, I'm going to stream a bit more over the next couple of weeks. I've got a bit more free time.
Well, September and October is going to be a bit of a weird time for us because you've got a lot of stuff on.
You've got a bit of a break coming.
I'm on holiday for a little bit.
I've got a holiday coming with a slightly grown up thing.
Yes. And so yeah, but by the mid-October, normal business will have been resumed.
Yeah, but
So
don't you worry, Big Damn Cast ain't going anywhere.
Oh,
no. Every bloody week. Even if one week someone has to play me.
Like a fiddle. Oh. They played us like a damn fiddle!
I played this city like a harp from hell.
What?
Mixmaster Alfred.
Like a harp from hell. Imagine, that turned public opinion against the Penguin.
Yeah.
What the fuck will it take to turn public opinion against Donald Trump?
Based on
if someone had a video like recording of Donald Trump saying something like that, they'd fucking cheer him.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he played well, so savvy.
Turn this country
So savvy.
into a pile of shit.
Out of the deal. So savvy. Such a savvy businessman.
He's on it. He's going to make America great again.
He's on fucking
and he's going to make comics great again. And he's going to make America white again. Christ alive.
On that note.
Well, based on last week, we stopped recording.
Yeah.
And then Charlie, 5 minutes later, went, oh, Danny Boyle's been sacked from Bond. We're like, oh. Well,
if we stop recording now, then Disney might rehire James Gunn.
And Trump might get impeached.
Let's do it!
Bye, everyone! If all those things happen, it's because of us.